Hello, this is Jamie White with Global Diversity News. With me, Ray Hayes. We've got another podcast coming to you. So, as always, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check us out on Twitter at GDN Network and check out our website, globaldiversitynews.com. Now, for this piece, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling on immigration. Now, for those who don't know, uh, the Supreme Court ruled 4-4 on President Barack Obama's immigration policies that help undocumented immigrants to essentially become citizens of the United States. Now, this ruling can affect as many as 5 million unauthorized immigrants. And essentially, what the policies we're trying to do is help people who are employed, going to college, so students, and children become legal citizens of the United States. So because this not struck down, but because of the 4-4 tie, these policies are now in jeopardy of not happening. So, Ray, if you will, just what are your initial thoughts on um, that ruling?
It's a major setback for I don't know a lot of families who have immigrant parents or they themselves are immigrants because it's kind of like now you're still sitting in a loophole. Like, well, what's going to happen to you or your mother, or your father, or your sister, or your brother? Like, what's going to happen with these immigrants? I mean, we have two presidential candidates fighting for the presidency
Right.
for next year, correct?
Yep.
Who's to say if they come into office, one of these candidates, and they say, "Hey, send them all back home, send them all back to where
Wherever
they
they came
originally
from.
came
Yeah.
from."
Um,
It's kind of if I was in that situation, I would be petrified because I don't know what tomorrow can bring for me.
yeah.
If I get pulled over today, I could be sent home.
I
I can
mean,
be sent. It's a scary thought, and it's kind of it's disheartening to see. And it's kind of like, okay, we in fact do need another. We need that one that we needed that one justice,
yeah, the one. Yeah,
break
yeah.
that tiebreaker,
That.
and it's very critical. Even though if we would have put the justice President Obama nominated to be into and to take that seat, he still wouldn't have been able to vote on time because he wouldn't be appointed at time to vote on this case. However, this does set the precedent going forward that we need.
That ninth.
Simple as that. We need odd number of
That ninth.
justices.
Yeah, yeah. I
Tyler
mean,
said we need the liberals and we need the conservatives. Even if it would have been the same decision, but we need that tiebreaker. Just it's a loophole.
yep.
It's disheartening.
Yeah. No, like no, I completely agree. Uh, I don't see. I honestly don't see what the issue is on helping undocumented workers who qualify for those policies. Now, I haven't looked at every line and decided if this is good or bad. But the overall thought of helping undocumented immigrants who are working and who are in college, and whose visas who are working on the visa and it may have expired, which from my understanding is actually a lot of the undocumented workers, um, as well as children, helping them become legal residents. Because here's the thing, they're not going anywhere. You know, right now we have a huge tax base that we can't tax because they're undocumented, and we're refusing to, for whatever reason, to allow them documentation when we know that they're not going anywhere. The only logical thing that you can do is if they're here, if you feel that they're illegal, then you'd have to put them in jail. But are you really ready to put what 11 million quote unquote undocumented illegal immigrants in jail for essentially nothing? Well, I'm not going to say nothing. Maybe some people are committing crimes and whatnot, but for the vast majority are not, and they're just hardworking, just people in general who want a better life for themselves and their families. And while we're
That's it.
trying, yeah,
That's the main thing. They just want. I mean, honestly, God, and that was the main problem when it came to look what happened with the EU.
right.
Brexit. I mean, that was a lot of the problem. I mean, people chose to leave the EU because of immigration. We're no different from the EU. I mean, we're kind of no different from the UK right now.
In what aspect? What do you mean?
As far as our problems with
With
a lot of
immigration?
people, yeah, with immigration, a lot of people disagree that we should allow anybody and everybody to come into the U.S.
Right.
And we're all immigrants.
I mean, well, we're not, right?
I mean, I'm sorry.
African American, black. When it comes to America, blacks and Native Americans have a very unique perspective because we're the only people. Well, not the only people, but by and large, historically, we're not immigrants.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah. So for us, we have a very unique perspective on that. I do find it amazing that, and President Obama, whether you like him or not, did make an exceptional point in terms of this happens every time a country is hit economically in a negative fashion. Blame the immigrants, right? We blame the Irish, we blame the Italians, we blame the Polish. Now we're blaming Mexicans, and Hispanics overall. Now we're in the UK, they're blaming people of Middle Eastern descent, etc. Because they're supposedly taking jobs, and this always happens. And the truth of the matter is that's not the issue. That's our economy. People, you can't find a job. If you can't find a job, it's not because of the huge increase, or not even increase, but because of undocumented immigrants. Maybe in some cases, sure. I mean, I'm sure, we've got 11 million, maybe one or two are doing that, but that's not the overreaching issue. There's a lot of things in our economy that we need to fix, and holding off undocumented immigrants' ability to become legal citizens is not the answer. That doesn't make our country appealing, or excuse me, it doesn't help our country grow at all. So if I could take a really quick moment, I do want to highlight how the case originated. I'm actually taking a look at the New York Times article that you sent over, Ray, about who was affected by the Supreme Court decision. And it talks about how 25 states filed a lawsuit against the immigration initiative by President Obama. I found it very interesting that of the states that sued, so the states that sued, 1.4 million, undocumented workers were eligible for Obama's policies to become legal citizens. But of the states that did not sue, 2.2 million were eligible. So this is clearly, partisan gridlock, if you will, because, and no offense to these states, but I'm looking at some of these states that sued for having issues with the immigration policy, like Idaho, Utah. Really, are you guys, are those states really having huge issues with undocumented immigrants?
No. It's honest. I mean, it's 3 states who would have, afforded most from President Obama initiative.
Exactly.
And those 3 states are California, Texas, and New York.
Exactly. 2 of which, California and New York, did not sue, and then Texas did sue. So that's clearly a partisan. Because this is just ridiculous in terms of the states that sued. Sure, you can make the argument that yes, you think that the federal government is overreaching, but there are tons of policies that you can make that claim on, and it holds validity. This honestly, it just isn't it. This isn't it, because we're dealing with people who can become citizens and increase our tax base and make America a lot better, especially the ones that are working. And again, we're talking about the ones who are working, who are in college, and the children, right? I mean, let's not screw over children, people. That's that's just unfair. But and we're talking about that group, and that group, there's absolutely no reason why we're not letting them become legal citizens, none
at all. They were born on this soil.
I'm not sure exactly where they were born. That's actually a
I
good
mean, but
question.
I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. You
No,
right.
no, no,
Not
no.
you're not sure, but a few of them possibly were born on this soil. Correct? Like, can we agree
Oh
on
yeah,
that?
oh yeah, 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 definitely.
A few of them,
Well,
right?
no, well, no. I take that back. If you're born on American soil, you're legally a resident of the United States.
Other, but blessed. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Or if you have American parents, um, then you're because that's actually one of the big issues that we have right now, which is that was one of a recent story where some this lady from some country in Asia,
Mm-hmm.
she was pregnant on the plane, and she was trying to deliver her baby in America,
Mm-hmm.
but she ended up having to like deliver her. They had to like stop before they got to America because she went into labor beforehand. So if you're born on American soil, you are indeed an American. But back to the immigration piece. One of the things that I also wanted to add to this, and why I wanted to talk about it is, as of right now in America, one of our I think our largest small business or people who are starting businesses in America the most are Hispanics, right?
Right. Right.
So with this immigration, had these policies gone through, this would have increases our small business, um, not intake, but it would increase our small business growth, which I'm always in favor of. More people starting small businesses, more competition, creating better ideas, and generating. I'm sorry, better ideas and helping increase and influence and innovate different industries is something that I'm always in favor for. And I think that this limits us because now when we're dealing with undocumented workers, when we're dealing with people with expired visas, they're not allowed to stay on our soil and positively uh, impact our country, which I think is. And again, this isn't going to take effect overnight. Like we're not going to deport people overnight, but this greatly limits us. Um,
But let me ask you this, Jamie.
yep.
The fact of it is, it limits us, but does it benefit other minorities?
What do you mean?
Reason being is because you said a lot of people of Hispanic descent are the main ones who are starting small businesses
Yep,
nowadays.
they're leading in terms of
They're
new business
leading, they're
growth.
leading, right?
Yep,
New
new business
business
growth.
growth, correct?
Yes.
So, does this, in fact, help other minority groups? Because now you give them the opportunity, because you're not just focusing on Hispanic giving them loans or grants to start their businesses. Now you have money to give other minority small business companies funds to grow.
I get what you're saying. Like
Does
if
this
you,
help them? Could this help them,
yeah, if you're,
or is it?
it's always nicer to compete against
Yeah,
when you're getting money. It's
is
nicer
it
to
better
compete
to compete?
against than 10. So I'm sure like each business will tell you their own or give you their own answer. But I can only look at our country as a whole.
Uh-huh.
And what benefits the United States of America, and what's always benefited us is our diversity and our acceptance of people from different cultures, because that's what makes the U.S. great, and that's what helps us innovate, and that's what helps us grow. We take ideas from people who weren't born here, but moved to the United States, and we help them and give them opportunity to again start a business, since we're in this avenue, and bring their idea to light. So I think that limits us, and I don't think that that's a benefit for us in the long run. Now, will it benefit a couple of companies here and there, because these a couple of these workers may not be able to stay here to start a business, or maybe they have a business and they have to relocate it. Uh, will that help some businesses? Sure, but in the long run, I don't think that this is. There's just so much potential there that just isn't being utilized, that we don't have a reason for deporting them. That 4 to $5 million mark. I mean, I could see if. I mean,
Yeah, there's no reason for the board.
yeah, I could see that there's a lot of reasons why you can deport somebody. Trust me, there are a lot of reasons, and I support especially deporting people who have committed crimes and just have and things of that nature. I'm definitely in support of that. But this is just something I just can't support because um, there's the only argument that you can make is that they arrived here illegally and that there are legal processes in place for people to come into this country, right? And I can see that argument to a certain extent. But my only issue is because these policies, if I'm not mistaken, are if you came in like I think it's around like what is it, 2012 or 2010,
2012.
Or is it 2010? I can't remember the exact year, but it's basically we're hitting the reset button, right? We're saying, all right, look,
Yeah, it's 2012. You're right.
yep. So we're basically saying, okay, look, all right, we're trying to press the reset button, and from now on, if you come in illegally, we're gonna do something about it. But since there's so many of you that's come over in the past, this is the process to become legal residents. Take it, and we'll move on from that. And I think right now that's the best thing we can do because we just don't have the resources to, despite what anybody says, we don't have the resources to deport 11 million people.
You don't. You don't at all.
Like
Are you really gonna put a task? You're gonna develop a task force that's solely dedicated on deporting, finding these people and deporting them?
Yeah, 11 million? I mean, that's just too many.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, so that's our thoughts. 4-4 tie, definitely. Like you said in the very beginning, we needed that ninth judge, or not even for this ruling, but just in the future, just period. So this partisanship is definitely hurting for the long run, but we definitely need that ninth judge to help out with these rulings. And the immigration ruling itself was something that we would have liked to see gone a different way, essentially because those undocumented workers or those undocumented immigrants that they're focusing on are very reasonable. Again, and that's people.
Real quick,
Yep.
before we end, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
We can possibly end it on this, but what do you feel will happen with these 3 million people?
Yeah, 3-4. Is it
3
3
4
or
million.
3 or 4? 4.
I believe it's 3
Millions.
3 billion.
Yeah, so millions of immigrants. What do I think is going to happen?
Yeah,
The same thing that's happening. The same thing that's happening to them right now, which is they're still here, they're still working, they're still not paying taxes, they're still in a certain extent hiding, and that's pretty much it. And they'll just continue to do that because there's no reason to change.
So you think will still just be complaining then down the road?
You mean American citizens?
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, we say they don't pay taxes, they don't do this, they don't do that. So we'll be complaining down the road.
Yeah, pretty much.
Still.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
So, nothing's changed.
Pretty
Go
much.
back to square one. Keep complaining.
I mean, I wouldn't say
we're not going to help you. We're not going to make a decision about this. Just keep complaining. Keep going. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to look at it. It's unfortunate, but